Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk about just the heavy negativity surrounding the game Forspoken. So, as you know, I've bought two copies of the game. I bought it on PlayStation 5. I bought it on PC. Uh, I personally am really enjoying the experience, and I really hope that it turns out to be a good one. But I can already see that there's some red flags coming out for Forspoken. The embargo date not being until the day before the game launches. Um, Prominent creators over on Twitter talking about how they have not received review code for it. How Square Enix is being really picky with that. I too asked Square Enix for review code. They haven't told me no, and they haven't told me yes. So, chances of me getting review code for that game are probably pretty slim to none. But what I can say about Forspoken, what I have experienced with the game, what I have been able to see through the demo on the PlayStation 5 is that for the most part, I'm intrigued with Forspoken, what it has and what it has to offer. Whether that be a big giant open world playground that I get a parkour around, so be it. So if that's literally the only good part of the game, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. Um, the combat for me is pretty engaging. I do like it. I like that it's fairly easy to pick up, but it's probably going to be a little bit more of a challenge to really master that. And I feel like Forspoken is a game that has a lot of depth to it, like the mechanics, the world, the traversal, the way the world looks, the different biomes that I've seen in some of the trailers that are in this game. That kind of stuff has me intrigued. Now, when you look at the performance across the board on the PlayStation 5, my honest thoughts on that are we've been asking for new IPs and for games to kind of push the boundaries and to be to be better. And I, for one, you can go back and you can look at old videos. You can see it as a reoccurring theme on this channel when it comes to PlayStation. I wish that PlayStation would take a risk like Square Enix is with Forspoken and not putting as much effort into shiny pixels as they are into the gameplay, the systems, the world. You know, I mean, I still think that Horizon Forbidden West could have been a great game even if it was 1080p and the world was just bigger and there was more to do, more to explore, more to have fun. That world was so small that I explored it pretty quickly. I got about 50 hours into that, and that's pretty average from what I did with Zero Dawn as well. About 50 hours for both games, and in a game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I got over 130 hours into that game because the world is bigger. It's funner to explore. The same with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I got over 130 hours into those games because I can explore those worlds and have fun in there. So being able to play a game like Forspoken and really take my time with it and really get in there and experience that. The traversal from the parkour is incredible. Like, I love the way that feels. I am very excited to upgrade that ability and fully learn how to use that and play around in that giant world. Like, I am excited about that. The combat, I'm excited to learn about the combat. Now, I like the melee focus build that I've been playing around with on Forspoken, but then there's enemies that you're gonna have to alternate and use the ranged magic. That's cool. Like, I do like that. I like the way Forspoken is set up. I feel like this is going to be a very special game, and it's going to offer a unique experience that we haven't had in a while. When it comes to the visuals and the overall resolution and things like that, yeah, I'm not as upset about it because the other aspects of the game are what's really pushing my my what's really pushing my intrigue for this game, what's really pushing, the envelope for me. So yeah, it would be nice to have everything at once, but you got to understand the PlayStation 5 it can only do what it can do. Now the PlayStation 5 I would say is a pretty decent um 1080p to 1440p machine at higher refresh rates, at like 60 frames a second and above. Like that's pretty much what I expect to get out of that console. And if you look back across everything that we've seen, that's even first party games that are pushing the envelope in terms of, performance, we're hitting those lower resolutions again this generation, guys. This is going to be anywhere from clearly 720p all the way up to 4K, depending on the game and the engine and how it's built and how it's optimized for the PlayStation 5. When you look at the PC side of things, because getting a PC for the channel has really opened my eyes to a lot of things, to how things are going to be this generation. Like my expectations are kind of a little more in check, and I'm not going to really draw a hard line on 30 FPS this generation. Like I'm changing my stance. I am changing my stance on a lot of things when it comes to the consoles. Because I do realize that as much as I want to put my games on the PC and like crank the settings all the way up to max or whatever, I feel like being able to get 4K 30 out of these machines this generation is a nice window into the type of visual quality that you can expect if you ever do upgrade and go to PC. Because let's face it, man, when it comes to visuals from the console version to the PC version, at least this generation, if I go back and I play like games that were 360 generation or early PlayStation 4 generation, Xbox One generation, and I look at the visuals with them maxed out on the PC, there are significant differences from the visuals that were in those games that launch on the console to where we are with the next gen consoles. In terms of, and I'm not just talking things like shadow quality or draw distance. I'm talking texture wise. I'm talking quality. The quality of how the visuals look. It's significantly better than what we were getting on like 360. If you take a game like Castlevania Symphony, Lords of Shadow 2, and you crank that all the way up on the PC at like 4K, like that's a completely different looking game. Like it literally looks incredible. The visuals that they could bring out back then with the hardware limitations that they had during that generation was just it's insane. Those the 360 and PS3 were pretty underpowered. But you remember when those games came out on those consoles, they looked incredible to us. They were like, whoa, they were mind blowing. But being able to see that artwork at the highest quality possible is insane. It's mind blowing. So what I'm saying, let me get back around to that. If these consoles can deliver that image quality that's in line with a PC maxed out settings at like 30 frames a second, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm kind of okay with that. I'm not going to be such a hardliner towards 60 frames a second. And there's been a few games that came out toward the end of last year that kind of really helped me. They kind of really helped me get over that hump because, man, I was just like most of the people out there. I'm like, yeah, man, these are 60 FPS consoles, and I want my 60 FPS, and like I do. And this is the first generation that we've ever really had the option to have both. You either get performance and low resolution, or you get quality and lower performance. So the fact that we hopefully can go through this generation with the ability to choose which quality or performance is going to work for us. I like that. Now I would like to see, because I feel like these consoles, they will be a little bit kind of underpowered to some of that stuff, because I mean, I'll find out more when I get my hands on Forspoken. I'll find out more, but um I was just looking at Far Cry 6 last night on the PC after the live stream. It had finished downloading, and I was checking that out with max quality settings and just at 1440p, and I was like, wow, man! Like I was a little bit blown away. The the visual quality is, it gets a little bit higher. I mean, not enough to where, like, if you were looking at it on the 4K TV on the Series X or the PlayStation 5, or if you put them on a 1440p monitor like I had it. If you put any of those consoles on a 1440p monitor, I don't believe that the difference is so great that, like, you would be like, oh man, I gotta have a PC. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the lines are so blurred right now when it comes to visuals between these consoles and the PC max settings, that it's like, man, you're getting a pretty good deal for $500 for what you're getting for these consoles, because my PC is literally the price of five PlayStation 5s. Literally the price of five PlayStation 5s. So to be able to get that visual quality out of the quality mode when it comes to some of these games, that's pretty impressive to me. That is pretty impressive to me, and that's kind of what probably keeps me a little bit grounded and not just running off to be like, yeah, I'm going to join the PC Master Race, because that's madness. The PC Master Race, trying to get to the top now, that is madness. You are throwing away like anywhere from $15 to $2,000 every 2 years just to get a little bit better frames. Because let's face it, man, now that the 30 series has entered the market with graphics cards, pretty much all of those cards can get you a 4K image. Like, they can get you a 4K image. Like that 3060 Ti all the way up to my 3080, like, yeah, you can get a 4K image on probably everything, and still be able to get, at least a playable frame rate. I mean, on certain games, I can get, and on certain games on my 3080, I've been able to put it at 8K and get 30 frames a second, like a pretty stable 30 frames a second. So I know that ability is there. Like, I know that ability is there, and I can tap into that and I can use that. So it's an interesting time that we live in, and it's an interesting situation that I've put myself in when it comes to gaming, by continuing to cover and want to be part of, like, the console, generation. Because when these consoles came out, man, like that first year, guys, we were so happy, and we were doing like the little console war stuff back and forth. When I started the channel, because I was like a little bit frustrated with the PlayStation 5, because I wasn't really completely understanding, like, why can't I get my 4K at my 60 at the same time? And that was frustrating to me. And there was a lot of games, that I would put in on the PlayStation 5, and I would boot them up, and it would boot you into that really high quality, like, loading screen and everything else, and then the visual quality would just completely drop off if you were trying to do the performance. And I was frustrated with that, because I wasn't getting that experience on the Series X. On the Series X, I was booting in, and I was getting a quality image all across the board. I wasn't feeling like I wasn't getting I wasn't getting that, like, that false sense of, like, premium when it came to the Xbox. I was getting, just a consistent experience across the board. And I was getting bombarded, with like FPS boost games. I was getting, the free upgrades and all of that stuff on the Xbox Series X. So I was kind of living, in the honeymoon phase with the Xbox Series X a lot longer. A lot of games that I still love and that I want to play were getting free upgrades. Over on the PlayStation, they were telling me, yeah, you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that. And then I was paying for, like, upgrades, for, like, games like Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is a beautiful game, but they could have done more to really bring that game forward, like maybe a higher quality texture pack, maybe some other stuff to really make it look like it's like, yeah, it's a PS5 game. And it pretty much literally looked just the same with with just higher resolution and at 60 frames a second. And I was just like, wow, man, like why did they charge me for that? Why did they charge me for that? That doesn't feel like a premium PlayStation 5 experience. And it was like that, with a few of the games, Returnal comes out, I buy that and it's all fuzzy and blurry and it just didn't look good. And I'm like, why did I pay $70 for this? And in my mind at the time, I was thinking, man, this doesn't feel quality or premium to me. And then, like games like Destruction All Stars and just some of the other stuff that was coming out. And I was just like, wow, man, like really? Because I was buying most of my other games on the Xbox, like my Assassin's Creed, all my Daily Driver games, all the stuff that I'm like super interested in. I was buying and playing on the Xbox. And then when I buy the version on the PlayStation 5, because they're like, yeah, man, it runs better on the PS5. And then I would look at it and I'd be like, no, it doesn't. It literally feels the same. It literally feels the same. It looks the same. I'm not noticing anything better on the PlayStation 5. That it's literally so close between these consoles when it comes to like certain games. Like the big heavy hitter games, I've noticed that they'll try to make them as close to parity as possible. And so saying one of those is better than the other, that's just ludicrous. That's nonsense. If they have the dynamic resolution, you'll probably get a higher resolution on the Xbox, and then you'll be able to use your VRR to make sure your frame rate stays stable. There's a lot of instances like that. But like I said, man, I'm not going to be so hardline when it comes to like 30 frames a second, as long as when you plug it in to your 4K screen and it looks incredible, there's really no reason to be mad at that. I mean, if you're getting the visual quality at 30 frames a second, cool. Cool. Like you can decide. You can decide as an adult or as a gamer, if that's going to work for you. If you really have to have that higher refresh rate, but you still want your game to look good, there's an option for that. You can buy a monitor. You can get a 1440p monitor. You can get a 1080p monitor. With monitors, you can get lower resolutions and still get HDR support. Like that is still a thing. I got a 1440p monitor. I get HDR support on those. It's not as good as like Dolby Vision or whatever, but you still can get HDR support on a monitor. So there are options for you to be able to take advantage of all of that technology this generation to be able to get the optimal best experience for you. And when I see all these people out there just going so negative toward Forspoken, I'm like, dude, I got a monitor. It looks good on my monitor. It ranges in the performance mode from 720p up to 1440p. That dynamic resolution, I've said this multiple times, that dynamic resolution, like you don't see you don't see it drop into 720p. Like you don't see that. It can drop as low as 720p. I guess it averages somewhere closer to 900p to 1080p or whatever, depending. And that to me, that doesn't look bad on a 1440p monitor. It looks about the same as if you're on a 4K TV and you're playing a game and it's 1440p. It almost looks about the same as that. Like it almost looks about the same as that. And that's pretty much my cutoff line for 4K for on a 4K screen is the 1440p. But when I play a 1440p game on a 1440p monitor, it looks pin sharp like it does on a 4K screen if it's a 4K game. So that's one of the things that I'm not gonna try to entertain the negativity when it comes to that stuff. And I get it, man. Like if I was interested in doing the console war stuff, like Forspoken would be a super easy target. A super easy target. And Lord knows the freaking PlayStation fanboys deserve everything they're getting right now when it comes to that. But it does suck that it has to come at the expense of a game that I'm like thoroughly interested in. It sucks. And trust me, man, I could be getting a ton of clicks right now by trashing that game. I could trash Forspoken and I could get a lot of clicks for that. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to reserve that. I'm reserving. I'm not doing it. I'm not chasing that. I'm not going to chase the negativity on this. And I know there's people in the community, you know, the Xbox guys, they're probably wondering why I haven't and why I'm not, because I mean, this is literally low hanging fruit when it comes to this is pretty low hanging fruit, man. And I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it, man. I want to play Forspoken. I want to take the game seriously, and I want to give it credit where credit is due. If it turns out to be a good game, I'm gonna give it credit for that. Like I want it to be a good game. I'm rooting for Forspoken being a good game. I was interested in the game from the moment I first saw it, and I'm still fairly interested in it. I want to test the PC version. I want to see if that's going to be good for you guys to be able to play that, see what kind of performance levels I can get, see if it's stable, see if there's any of the stutter struggle, any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I'm excited about Forspoken. I'm not going to beat it up. I'm not going to trash it. I know, dude, I could be getting so many clicks right now by turning to the dark side on this game. I could, but I'm going to be fair with it. I'm going to give it its due course. I'm going to play the game. I bought it. I've got too much money invested in it to just sit and, you know, be negative about it. So, man, if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I'll go ahead and stop over talking, and we'll just go ahead and get this uploaded for you so you guys can watch it. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a good night.